Hello, I am Amarique Singh, and I am the Vice Chair for Women's Fund El Dorado. I found out about Women's Fund at an event in downtown Placerville. I went to the Girls' Night Out, and Women's Fund had a table there where I met a number of volunteers who told me about Women's Fund and what they meant and what they did. I took a few flyers. They had an event coming up that I was unable to attend at the time. I traveled for work a lot. A few weeks later, my travel schedule changed and I went online, I bought a ticket, and I went to the event by myself. Once I got to the event, I enjoyed thoroughly what I saw. I met a number of women who were like-minded, and they all had the same ideas, and that was to give back to the community. It was a wonderful event, and that night I joined Women's Fund, and I have been a member ever since.
Hi, my name is Jennifer Bassett, and I'm the Executive Director of Hands for Hope Youth Making a Difference and a member of Women's Fund El Dorado. I learned about Women's Fund from David Ashby, the previous Executive Director of New Morning Youth and Family Services and a mentor of mine. David had forwarded me an email in February of 2013 in regard to Women's Fund proposals that were being sought. And he told me that I needed to apply for the grant and that he would help. This was the first grant that Hands for Hope Youth Making a Difference received from the Women's Fund El Dorado.
Hi, I'm Senator Marie Alvarado Gill. I represent Senate District 4 in all of El Dorado County, and I'm also a proud member of the Women's Fund of El Dorado. I first learned about the Women's Fund of El Dorado when my district director, Lauren Hernandez, who was born in Placerville and still lives in El Dorado and raises her family, invited me to a special event where the Women's Fund was showcasing the very best nonprofits of the county. After attending the nonprofit ballot showcase in March, I knew that I wanted to be a member of the Women's Fund.
Hi, I'm Ann Curtis. I am the chair here at the Women's Fund. I have been a member of Women's Fund for about 6 years. Amy Pooley and I were working out at Kaya one day, and she said, "Hey, have you heard about this really great organization, Women's Fund El Dorado? And would you like to be on our grants committee?" And from there, I just have loved being a part of it, seeing all the good that we do in the community. I got connected with Women's Fund because I used to work in Sacramento, although I've spent my whole life in El Dorado County. I grew up here, I went to El Dorado High School, and I felt so disconnected from the place I lived because all of my working life and professional life had been in Sacramento, and I wanted to really connect with what was happening in our community and find a way to do a lot of good with a little bit of investment of time and money, something I really couldn't do on my own.
My name is Leslie Bush, and I'm a long-term member of Women's Fund. Katie Peak asked a bunch of gals to get together to learn about the idea of Women's Fund, and we all liked it. That is one reason that I decided to join. The other was doing so much good work in the community.
I committed to being the vice chair and eventually chair and past chair, the 6-year commitment, early in 2022. I had just recently been appointed to a new position, and that position is also a 6-year term. So I felt like the cards were in line, and that's what led me to be a part of this organization. And I also believe in the mission of this organization to give back to the community, and it all fell into place. And so I committed to the 6-year term to be a part of this organization.
I joined Women's Fund because I was fascinated and excited about the concept of collaborative giving, women coming together as a group to be able to make a larger impact than they could donating on their own. I am all about collaboration, service, and inclusion, and that's what I saw in this organization.
As the chair of the Senate Human Services Committee, part of my responsibility is to ensure that we have sound policy in California and that we are protecting and fully funding services and programs that serve our children, our families, and our seniors, some of the most vulnerable populations in our state. When I met the Women's Fund women, I was blown away by the collective action of over $1 million focused on diversity, equity, inclusion, and making a community that was strong and resilient.
The thing I love most about Women's Fund is that it's so accessible. I can pay my $200 and be as involved as I want to. Like, I made the choice to be a chair because I wanted to be more deeply involved, even though I have 2 young children and a job and we're really busy. But I really deeply believe in the mission of Women's Fund and the transformation it's making in our community. And again, the impact I'm able to do with a small investment on my part, being able to pay $200 a year and end up being involved in the grant making for $100,000. It really feels like we're making a meaningful impact in our community in a way I couldn't do on my own.
I like the idea that anyone can join and that they can join for $200, which means you get a lot of younger people in too. It adds so much vitality.
When I donate to a nonprofit, they are very appreciative of what I've given them. However, if me and 200 or 300 of my friends are also pooling our money together and giving to the nonprofit, that nonprofit is able to create such a great impact in our community. We all live in this community and we actually get to see where our monies go. So I love giving that explanation to people about Women's Fund and how collective giving can have such an impact on our community. It's very inspiring and it leads to such phenomenal work.
Every time I go to a Women's Fund event, it feels like a family coming together. And it is so exciting to see everybody thrilled with supporting the nonprofits that we're able to support, as well as showing the joy that they get out of doing that.
My children often ask me, "Mom, what is it that motivates you and inspires you in public service?" Well, for me, the Women's Fund of El Dorado is just one of those examples. The first time I attended an event, I was able to meet the incredible youth from Hands for Hope, a new generation of leaders right here in our community. I was honored also to invite them to the Capitol and give them the 2023 Nonprofit of the Year designation, our very first year honoring nonprofits in Senate District 4.
So the Women's Fund just really speaks to my heart because I want to make a change in the community that I love so very much. And we've been able to give grants to such a huge variety of people and nonprofits doing all kinds of good work with animals, with kids, domestic violence, helping make our Main Street better by putting the flower baskets out. We really have a wide variety of groups that we work with and that we're able to fund and support the work that they do because we appreciate what they do in our community and how hard they work to make it a better place to live. So why should you join the Women's Fund? It's exactly that. You want to make a difference in the place that you love. You want to make a difference for your neighbors, for your friends, for your family, for your children, and be able to leave a better place than maybe we started out with. And it's an easy way to do that.
I just think it's well run, has a lot of good people in it who are giving a lot of their time and effort and everything. So I think it covers a lot of different types of needs in our community.
As the Executive Director of Hands for Hope Youth Making a Difference, we are so grateful for the funding from Women's Fund El Dorado. The funding has allowed us to include more youth in our programs, connecting them to each other and to the community, helping them build skills and confidence while helping fill unmet needs in our community. We are building the next generation of Women's Fund members and change makers.
Congratulations to all the people here tonight celebrating and supporting such a wonderful endeavor here in our community. Have a great evening, and I look forward to serving you for many more years.
It's very accessible, it's really affordable, and it's really fun. I love coming to the events. I meet new people. And then when I'm at the grocery store, I see them there and we get to chit chat and talk. And it makes me feel more connected to my community. I get a lot out of it, is why I'm a big part of the Women's Fund. It feels really good. So if you're considering it, if you've been on the fence, we hope that you'll join us. Come and check us out. All of our events are open to the public. We want you to learn more about what we do and see why it's so fun. You don't have to be a woman to join. You can have a busy life and do lots of good with a really small investment of time. So we hope that you'll join us. We hope that you love it as much as we do. The Women's Fund is a great place without having an actual place. It's a great place.